Hi, everyone. Welcome to Steps Podcast. This is episode 66. And today we have a very special guest, an ADU geek, literally. Frankie Rodriguez with ADU Geeks. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of ADU updates and insights on a whole bunch of stuff. But just to give you guys a bit more background on Frankie Rodriguez, he's a dynamic sales and business development professional at ADU Geeks who brings a wealth of experience in both real estate and leadership with a remarkable 14-year career. And I know that, I can go on and on with his bio, but I'm going to just hand it off to him to share a little bit more about his background, how ADUs came about, and then ADU Geeks came about, and then we'll take it from there. So thank you, Frank.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the big intro. It's always nice to talk to a fellow ADU geek.
Yeah, and just so people have context and they know like who, how we both came about meeting each other. We met at the ADU Academy, is what Frankie was telling me. But I met so many people that day, and I didn't have a chance because it was so back to back classes that day. I didn't get a chance to really speak to anybody, but luckily I got everyone's email, and that's how Frankie and I kept in touch. And then he reached out, and here we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was super cool to be at that event. Instantly, when I saw you, I was all right. She knows what she's talking about. I love people that are passionate about ADUs. Had a couple of
Yes.
our new sales reps that I brought up there, and I was like, all right, we got to connect. So I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Awesome. So tell people a little bit about like how did specifically you get started in the ADU space, and then how did you become a part of the ADU Geeks world?
Yeah, so I've always kind of been interested in real estate. My background, I actually came up in the military. I did 23 years in the Marine Corps, and then
Thank you.
yeah, but towards like halfway through my Marine Corps career, bought a house, and always looking at interested in real estate. And then my wife and I and things, and as I was transitioning out from the military, I was like, where am I going to land? And ironically enough, a great guy that I actually recruited into the Marine Corps many years ago started ADU Geeks. He's one of the co-owners of the company, and he's been trying to recruit me for some time. So it was really smooth transition with open arms, and I just dove head in. As you know, there's so much to learn, so much to do every day. When you think you got to figure it out, there's 10 new things to learn. One of our core values at ADU Geeks is just always being inquisitive, right? Constant student, always learning, and
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it. And dove right in. So jumped into the sales, and then as we started, expanding all our offerings, at ADU Geeks, one of the things that really makes us different from a lot of other ADU companies is we don't really have like a niche. We don't only do detached. We don't just do prefab. We kind of do it all, and
Mm.
we really thrive on being at the forefront of what you can do with ADUs. So if the legislation in this community or this municipality says this thing, we'd like to be the first ones to try it and test that out, right? So yeah, it's been really
I
great.
love that. You said a lot of things there, and I could see how you guys probably have a lot of structure, right?
Yeah.
Given your guys' background in Marine, you guys have a lot of structure and systems and processes to really help streamline the process for people because that's, as you said, you have to be a student of the game, but there's also many moving pieces for the end consumer, right? Like people find themselves wanting to build an ADU and they don't know who to work with to begin with. They don't know how to vet people, and then with once they overcome that hurdle, it's like how do we even what does the process even look like, right? From the feasibility standpoint to the design. And one thing you touched on was you don't just do traditional or prefab, you kind of cater to whatever that client really wants to do. And I'm all for that because at first traditional is like the main way to go, but I think people are now getting creative with prefabs and sips and all sorts of different structural types that I think if you can cater to more people, then you're really servicing the client in every way possible. Best fits their needs for their specific project, whatever the motivation is behind that. So one of the main things that I wanted to highlight on this episode was being that you guys are in San Diego. I've kind of touched on the bonus, ADU rule in San Diego, but I haven't really had anybody on the podcast really talk about it. And I figured you guys would be the best ones to talk about that because, as you mentioned, you guys stay updated with legislation. San Diego is at the forefront of the ADU trend here in Cali. So, do you want to touch a little bit on that and kind of share how you guys have been able to maybe implement that strategy at scale, whether it's in residential or multifamily?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the bonus ADU program, I mean, simply put, is you get a bonus ADU for every deed restricted ADU you put on your property, right? So everyone knows the state level for a single family house, you get your one ADU and or JADU, and
Right.
multifamily you get up to your two detached. So San Diego said, great, we'll let you get that plus for each deed restricted, meaning affordable ADU that you build, you'll get an additional bonus market rate. And that's everybody in the city of San Diego. Now, if you happen to live inside of the SDA or the Sustainable Development Area, you can continue doing that all the way up to your floor area ratio, as long as you stay inside of the box as far as your setbacks, your height limits, and all the other things. So that's kind of how that's how we are allowed to literally put 15 to 20 units on a single family residential lot in some areas in San Diego.
That's awesome. And I would say, just so that people have more context, right? Because they maybe don't understand all the terminology, but give people a
Sure.
brief overview of what is FTA, Florida Area Ratio, and
Yeah.
how does that pertain to, ADU bonus property that they may be thinking of acquiring? Like, how do what that FTA should
Yeah.
look like and where it should be at to make it a very good ADU potential project?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So your floor area ratio is nothing more than how much habitable square footage you can put on your property. Every zoning, every property, every lot has this. Some areas call it a lot coverage, FTAs. Here in San Diego, it's your floor area ratio. And if you just look on, a Scout Red or any one of the zoning maps or parcel maps, you can usually search and figure out what your FAR is. In the San Diego Municipal Code for your residential lots, it's based off the size of your lot. So all you do is based off the size of your lot. For example, if you have a 6,000 square foot lot, then your FAR might be a 0.55. So you just take your lot, the area of your lot, multiply it by 0.55, and that's the number. That's how much habitable square feet you can have on your lot, and not just on one floor. That's in 3D as well, right? If you go 2, 3 stories high. So once you have
Right.
that number, yeah, you just subtract what the square footage is of the existing dwelling. That's what you got left. So if you've got 3,000 square feet left in a nice sized yard, and you're in the city of San Diego, we can start building up. And 2 or 3 stories later, depending on the size of the units, you're getting a lot of units in there.
Perfect. Yeah, you explained it very basic, very digestible for people. I think sometimes it's intimidating, right? Like not knowing what is zoning, what is, the FTA, what does all this look like? And these are just basic terminology that would hopefully give you guys more confidence to understand it, the strategy. Give us some examples of how you've seen the bonus rule like implemented at scale, like for a multifamily project, for example.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We have one here not too far from the office, which was nice because I was able to walk over there regularly and watch it through construction and stuff. But
Hmm.
it's actually a beautiful fourplex right behind a nice, beautiful home. It's in a historic area as well, which usually are a little bit
Mm,
more discretionary in their permitting, meaning you got to ask a lot of people
right.
for permission, make sure you follow a lot of different rules and regulations. But because it was in the backside of the property, we were pretty good to do pretty much whatever we wanted as long as aesthetically it matched the house.
It matched the
Uh,
house. Yeah.
yeah, and the client actually on this one started the project with us, ended up selling the house. The buyer saw what the idea was and bought the contract and said, "Yeah, I want to finish this project." And they're beautiful. It's a very dense area where this is at, and they've got about 620 square feet, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, exact mirrored units, and there's 4 of them sitting right behind this single family house. It's really well done architecturally. It looks really nice. And honestly, if you didn't know it was back there, you wouldn't know. They have their own private space. But yeah, this new buyer was able to put a fourplex in the yard and add extreme value, not just to their property, but really answer the call for a big problem that we have, which is a housing shortage in a very, very desirable area of San Diego. So it's a win all the way around for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're collecting some more cash flow, you're creating more inventory in the market, And if you also, assign a couple for low housing, low affordable housing, I mean, you're really like helping everyone in this market. In regards to real estate, I'm a realtor, and that's my main hat. The ADU consultant hat comes as a secondary because I've kind of niched down into that. And so my main bread and butter is like the sales side right now. And then secondary, the consulting. How are with the whole like NAR settlement, right? And things changing on the real estate side of things. What are
Yeah.
some of the like the tools that you guys offer? Do you guys have partnerships or referral agents that you guys work with and collaborate with when it comes to these ADU opportunities and helping their clients, let's say, for example?
Yeah, we're always looking. I think it's a no-brainer, and everybody knows ADUs can add value to people, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
our founder, that's how this company started, was he was trying to add value to his parents and build this ADU in the yard. And he went on a 2-year journey of, figuring out municipal code and spending all this extra money. And at the end of it, he finally got to build this ADU. And in that learning, he said, there's something here. So what started as one consultant is now over 40 employees, servicing all of Southern California, that is ADU Geeks. So we said, how can we expand that? How can we really reach the people that need this? And to your point, we love our real estate agent partnerships and our investor partnerships. A lot of agents that we work with are investors. We're doing projects for them, projects for their clients. So one of the things that we do is, I go around spreading the ADU gospel at agent workshops. So at this point, we're doing about 3 workshops a month where we're getting in front of brokerages of anywhere from 10 to 25 agents and just really pouring into them and showing them, hey, look, in San Diego at any given time, there's over 20,000 agents, right? There's only roughly 25 or so, 100 active listings. You look at those numbers, how do you stand out as a real estate agent? And what I tell them is, from our point at ADU Geeks and the discovery calls we have with clients, the difference between a good agent and an average agent is the value that they can add to their client. And there's no better way to do that than to use ADUs as a way to say, hey, this house that you're looking at, that price point, here's why, right? Here's what you're not seeing. Here's what can be done here.
Right.
So we put them through a really cool workshop where at least they know the difference, and the goal of it is to show the difference between ADU potential and actual ADU feasibility, right? You and I
Mm,
both know, just because it has a nice open yard doesn't necessarily mean it has ADU potential, right? Because of
right.
a myriad of things that could be, wrong with it. Hey, that shack in the yard, we can convert that. No, you can push that over. That's not going to get converted.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We really lean into that, and in a very tangible way. One, we do the agent workshops where we educate them. We've got kind of a freebie that we throw out there for them. It's just kind of like a ADU cheat sheet that they can kind of use when they're out there walking with clients or looking at properties. And then we even offer them what we call a listing companion, which is basically a feasibility study. So what we'll do is,
Mm,
the house has a very basic scope of work, call it one ADU or a garage conversion. If an agent has an active listing, we'll complete a listing companion for them, which is a fully vetted feasibility study like the ones we would do for our paying clients, um, and they can use that, as a listing companion for this property to really show the value that can be done here. So it's not just ADU potential; it's a fully vetted. This is what you can do here with the full financial projection. So that's really helped a lot of folks close some deals. And selfishly for us, the people that buy the house, they're going to come to us and say, "Hey, guys, can you really do this?" So it really
right.
is a win-win. It really is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that's the best way to collaborate. I think for realtors listening to this episode, you may also have questions around how you get paid. That's like number one question, right? How do I get paid if I'm referring my ADU leads? Sometimes, ADU companies will have either some sort of commission on a percentage basis or on a flat fee model. But whatever that is, you really have to establish it based on the relationship that you have with that consultant, right, or that agent, and it goes both ways. But the biggest value is things like those marketing pieces that you just mentioned, right? Having that listing slash feasibility report for that listing, huge value proposition, not only for the listing and the seller, right? As a listing agent, you're really helping yourself stand out. As a seller, they're envisioning like the potential and being able to sell it at the highest possible price to set a new standard in that neighborhood. And then for the end consumer, you're really helping them visualize why they should actually pay a premium or pay that amount and make it make sense to cover their mortgage and hopefully create some passive income, especially if they're buying an SD, right? So
Yeah.
if you can paint the picture for the end buyer, and then, like you said, they buy the property and they already have the feasibility done by you guys, it only makes sense to call you guys to initiate the project, right? Like you guys have already
Yeah.
done step one for them. And that's where I think I see the market going. For realtors, it's going to be crucial for your average realtor to understand development at a very basic level in order to tap in and be able to play with that 20%, top producing realtors, because to your point, the inventory is low. So now you got to get creative and show your existing clients and past clients how to maximize highest and best use for their current assets or their future assets. And then that's where you grow with your clients. And I'm assuming for you guys, in scaling the business, you sort of also want to grow with your clients. Would you say that the majority of your business right now, is it residential or multifamily or both, or how do
Yeah.
you gauge that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think more and more, if you would have asked me that question a year to a year and a half ago, I would have said residential. More and more, we're getting more of the multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, as interest rates have gone up, it becomes a little bit more difficult for your average new home buyer anyway to find financing for ADUs. So the residential is still a steady flow, but it's generally speaking folks that have owned the property for a while and have some type of equity, because it gives them some flexibility for financing and different products that it opens up. A lot of the multifamily is what we're really leaning into now, both on the developer side, where we're being approached by developers that have this lot that they know is in the zone. They come to us to verify this for them. And next thing you know, we're going anywhere from, like I said, 19 to 24 ADUs on this lot. On the other side of that, kind of leaning more into the realtors, we have a really good relationships with some of the really bigger multifamily brokerages in Southern California. And what they do is they use us not just as, the same way for a listing companion, they actually add our listing companions to their OMs, to their offer memorandums for this multifamily structure.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really leaning into showing multifamily owners, property managers, brokers, and the like, what you can really add to this property. I have a property right now in Vista that we're working with the client right now. We're converting a lot of the garages that they're just kind of full with a bunch of junk, and
Mm-hmm.
converting.
Which is like most of the time, that's how it is. They're just full
Yeah,
of junk.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
we're
a lot of
converting
people,
them.
sometimes you have those people who sort of object the ADU world, and their number one objection is, well, what's going to happen when you convert all these garages and, you don't have garages to park? And I'm like, 70% of people use their garages for storage.
Yeah.
Nobody's really using it for parking space. So it's funny that you guys say that, because I'm also transitioning not only as a realtor, but even in my ADU consulting, from residential to multifamily, because one, the financing is a bit of a struggle unless you have a lot of equity in residential. People have to get creative, and not to say that, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm definitely still helping in residential, and that's still a big part of my business. But I see not only the potential, but the lack of knowledge in multifamily as well. Like everybody's kind of up to speed and up to knowledge in the residential space on how to convert your garage and, how to do an addition, possibly two. But in multifamily, I don't see a whole lot of people doing them at scale, adding 10 to 20 to 50 ADUs on a 300 unit, 500 unit building. And that's sort of where I'm shifting my focus, because those people really have leverage. They have capital and income producing assets that they can leverage. And then from an evaluation standpoint, it becomes easier to comp them out, right? Like a lot of people,
Yeah.
I had a consultation yesterday with this guy who wants to convert his garage in Long Beach. And his main thing was like, well, I want to know how much it's going to be worth after. And I'm like, it's kind of difficult to answer that question
Yeah.
unless you hire an appraiser. My appraiser, shout out to Sydney, he's in San Diego. And I always tell them, just call Sydney, pay him his fee, to go do his due diligence, he comped out one for me in the historic district in Pasadena. And there's a lot of work that comes into it when you're talking residential, right? Because if it's a garage conversion and they wanted to build on top of the garage, I'm like, how many other ADUs that are built on top of the garage within half a mile are there, in that neighborhood? And if there aren't there, you got to go to the next competing neighborhood. It's not as easy as just comping out a property, a single family house with the same square footage and bedroom and bathroom count. But with multifamily, it's a different ballgame because now we don't have to go around the neighborhood to look at other ADUs. You're adding it as just another door, and taking the income approach, and how much is that unit generating. And so tying it into the whole property management too is one thing that I think will help, because a lot of people in multifamily, if they're adding more doors, they're going to need help with management. And I really, I'm passionate about that because I have a lot of experience in the property management world with tenant screening and all that stuff, which is a whole other conversation. But the value in multifamily right now, for those of us who are smart enough to see it and we're pivoting, that's where I think like the money's at and the opportunity for growth at scale with these projects. There's a lot of also changes in legislation too with multifamily coming up, right? Is there one in particular that you guys are going to maybe focus on once it passes?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see once the city fully adopts Assembly Bill 1033, which the state passed, in January, just basically saying that, at the state level, they approve and you can now convey ADUs separately. You can sell them as condos. So we're really interested in seeing how that plays out. The city of San Diego, we have good communication with the planning department. They've made it clear, like, yeah, we plan on adopting it, but they're not in any, quick rush to get that turned around. Yeah, so we're excited to see what that looks like when that comes around. And we're actually starting to see a lot of investors, the scope of work that they're trying to line up with us, and a lot of the designs that we have going are with that in mind, right?
With that intention, yeah.
Yeah, because they have experience either, in Oregon or Texas or what have you, having had done it. They know it's coming, so they're actually moving over here saying, hey, we're going to build this like this, so when it happens, we're ready. So that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good one that I see that one coming up, hopefully the next year, because so far San Jose has opted in to the AB 1033. And I'm sure Long Beach, where I'm from, is going to be another one that will say yes. And then eventually, I think nationwide it'll happen. But specifically in California, one city is going to say yes, and then the rest are going to raise their hand, and eventually you'll be able to sell it off, which will change the whole dynamic. And now that AB 1033 has come into play, I also anticipate that cost for an ADU build out is going to go up, because the evaluation is going to be completely different. So now the demand's going to go up. It's already high. So I think for people who are having thoughts of maybe converting or adding, adding to your existing structure, you probably want to do that sooner than later, because with inflation and everything else, prices are definitely going to go up. Hopefully, though, it's a streamlined process, because I had a podcast with a permit processor a couple episodes ago, and she, that's all she does, permit processing for other builders. And she was going over some crazy numbers with me. Like, she was saying it's going to take about a year to condoize it, and it's going to be about 60 to 75,000 for the process to do, the subdivision map, like the plot map and all the maps that you need, and the CCNRs to convert it into a condo. And I don't know how accurate that is, right? She was just giving me her knowledge on what, her years of experience and how she thinks things will move forward. But then there's always hacks around it, on how you can put yourself on title and, not have to condoize it necessarily. But I'm curious to see what that'll look like. Another one that I see coming up too is it SB 1211?
I was
the
going to
Skinner
touch on
one.
that.
Yeah, that one's cool. I think if we could talk about that one, it's not really like the ADU play necessarily, but it is homes, right? And multiple homes. So
yeah, I think I'm waiting to see when it passes what the final legislation will look like. But
me too.
Definitely,
yeah,
allowing you to build, I think, up to 8 additional units or something.
I think
like that,
10, right?
8 to 10.
Oh
I've
wait,
kind of had.
no, the one I'm talking
Uh,
about is actually for land. So there's one that's supposed to pass or already passed. I gotta double check, but it's for
yeah,
land lots where you can build 10 single family homes or 10 houses on a lot, which
yeah.
I thought was pretty good. Is it that one?
But that it is that one, but it'll also authorize up to 8 detached ADUs.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be with it if it's an existing multifamily lot. So within that same legislation, that's one of the
Mm,
proposals that's in there. So where right now you can get 2 detached from multifamily, going up to
right.
8, not counting how many you can convert. That's a game changer as well. Anywhere outside of San Diego.
100%. I mean, I just see legislation like just being more ADU friendly, every single year. And I'm sure with the city, that's kind of a hassle because, they have to stay updated with legislation and sometimes that creates friction. But I think, as you mentioned, you guys have strong ties and relationships with the city. So that really helps. Streamline the process. But that's one that I really would focus on once it passes and see
Yeah.
how we can continue to scale it. Would you say the majority of your guys' projects are for rental purposes?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the multifamily. Absolutely, those are almost
100%.
yeah,
Hmm.
those are always rental. And I would say the residential ones we get are kind of 50-50. People. One of the things we really try to hone in on when we have a discovery call with somebody is not just what type of ADU they want, but what's the value that the ADU is going to bring to them, right? Because we still get a lot of a lot of like generational living, aging in
Hmm.
place. People want to put their mom in their ADU or vice versa. Moms want to
Right.
put themselves in the ADU and give the house to the kids, kind of thing. So really honing in on what the value is for this ADU. We have some where they're like, hey, that's going to be in the future, but my mom still has her own place. So maybe now it's rental and then we'll transition
Right.
more to kind of like a family usage thing. So yeah, we get a good mix of clients because we have such a robust operational throughput here at ADU Geeks. We're able to separate our teams where each ADU design gets a project coordinator and design team. We've got some designers
Mm.
that they just work on the residential ones. We've got other ones that just work on the what's called in San Diego MDUs, which is just a multifamily structure built of ADUs. Um, so we're able to really kind of work with clients, meet them where they're at. Some clients want a lot more hand holding. They really want to be involved in the process. Other clients are like, you got it. So
Hmm.
we really try to not just cater, but because for us, it's not like we're being hired to do a job. We're partnering with these folks to really make sure that you
Right.
get the value that you want out of your property and out of your ADU. So we love partnering with them in a way that works for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think collaborating with them and kind of, just accommodating to how they like to be communicated to and how they
Yeah.
want to be part of the journey and part of the process is dope. I also think that, to your point, ADUs, you said sometimes it's for rental and then eventually it could be for a family member or, whatever the usage is. I think ADUs create a lot of flexibility. That's one thing I think I shared on my Instagram the other day. I'm like, ADUs are just flexible. Like, if I can think of
Yeah.
one word, it's flexibility because you can use it as a rental now, or it could be, your mom's assisted living facility instead of sending them to one. It could be homeschooling. It could be an office space. It can be recreational. In the meantime, you can live in it and rent out the main house to maximize rents. Like, it just creates flexibility that you didn't have before. So
Yeah.
I think looking at it from that lens really helps you understand the strategy. What is your guys's, as we wrap up, what is your guys's, like goals in the next 5 years, specifically or personally, let's say for you and your investments, and then within the company as well? Like, do you guys see yourselves shifting more into multifamily 100%, or, kind of keeping it the way you guys have right now with catering to any structural type and any, you know, industry
Yeah.
type?
Yeah, I think we definitely the future for ADU Geeks is definitely expansion. Right, our bread and butter that we started in San Diego was San Diego. This is where we have our biggest hold in. We do have projects right now as far north as Ventura County, out in the Inland Empire, out there, Riverside, San Bernardino. But the
Nice.
goal here, yeah, the goal would definitely be to spread all the way north through the state of California and 2 additional states is the goal that we're shooting for here over the next, call it, 1 year. And then as far as like what niche or what direction the company goes, I mean, we follow the legislation, we follow what makes sense. The multifamily space is definitely a huge value add right now. So we're really leaning into that. And then technology is ever evolving and changing, right? Our feasibility process, our design processes, we've got a lot of great ideas and things in the works that are going to dynamically change throughput and the way and not just we at ADU Geeks, but we investors, realtors, everyone in this space can really execute, the value out of ADUs. So future is bright.
I
We're
love
really
that.
excited. Yeah, we're really excited about what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about you guys for a while now, and I really like what you guys are doing. I think I'm always in the relationship business, wanting to collaborate with like-minded people who do what they say they're going to do, right? And the
Yeah,
ADU world is so small. Like we all know how we work, and just having highly vetted people in your corner is really meaningful, and it's the value as an agent or as an ADU consultant, right? Like, what do you bring to the table? Well, the relationship that I've established with these people,
yeah,
whether it's boots on the ground or other resources, just being a resource to others. And I see that in you guys and your brand. So branding is very important, and I think you guys are doing that well, collaborating with other realtors and co-branding, marketing
yeah,
material, and all that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for us because I know we'll be able to hopefully collaborate on future projects,
yeah,
whether it's through events, through projects themselves, investment opportunities, advocating, opportunities. I think both you and I are students, at the end of the day. So if
yeah.
we can teach others what we're learning along the way, and not make it feel so intimidating, then that's a win.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Our Instagram, that's all it is just educating people on everything. If there's no
Hmm.
sales going on there, it's literally all just educating people on different things they use. So yeah, I
Yep.
look forward to it, collaborating with you, and always trying to, help out where we can. This is a fun space, but there's a lot of things to
A
learn.
lot of
So
moving pieces. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. I think if people take anything away, it's just go with who you vetted, who you trust, and then have them walk you through the journey and take it from there, and then scale it. Because it
yeah,
is the best strategy right now, hands down, in California. Like, I have other realtors that I talk to in other states, or even ADU consultants in other states, and they're like, hey, well, how are people implementing it out there? I'm like, that's the number one play, because there's no other way that you can cash flow or that you can offset your mortgage as a new buyer in the marketplace. I mean, it just, again, going back to flexibility, that's what it allows here in California. So we'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much, Frankie, for your time and all your knowledge. This was an awesome episode. How can people connect with you if they have any thoughts of building an SD specifically? And I'm sure even like Riverside and Inland Empire.
yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, go to our website, adugeeks.com. Check us out at ADU Geeks on every social platform. If you want to find me personally, I'm in there as well, at Frankie Adds Value. I just try to, yeah, we're on every platform, even on Pinterest for the residential folks that are
Really
looking around. Yeah, so
nice.
yeah, we're not hard to find. ADU Geeks, look us up. We'd love to help you out. Free consultation and figure out how we can add value to you and your property. So, and
Awesome.
agents
Yeah,
as well. Yeah, real estate agents
definitely
as
reach
well.
out as a realtor, as an investor, specifically if you want to, if I'm thinking out loud, if I'm an investor who has multifamily or wants to buy multifamily or has residential and wants to maximize the multifamily in San Diego and implement the bonus ADU rule, I would call you guys in a heartbeat, because I would
Yeah.
want to work with somebody who specializes in SD. So yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. Thanks again, Frankie, and we'll see you guys
Thank
on the
you,
next
Steph.
one.
Take
Thanks.
care.